Welcome to Lost Girl Therapy. Do I have anxiety and do I experience dissociation with POTS? Yes, absolutely. One of the first times that I had a dissociative moment was terrifying. It was incredibly unnerving. It basically felt like my entire soul left my body, or that I was floating really, really high above myself. When those moments happen, to be perfectly honest, like I had no idea what to do or what was going on. And as much as like I talk about dissociation in therapy, as much as I talk about being able to tune out of feelings, the physical act of experiencing dissociations like that is very, very scary. It's also something that takes a long time to recover from an emotional standpoint. For me, my anxiety with POTS started occurring with a super high sensitivity to the world around me, essentially. Like my nervous system was at 100 and it needed to be at a 5. So I experienced extreme sensation changes to vibrations, sound, movement, the wind. I would go outside and sit on a park bench, and if the wind blew a different way, I would experience the onset of a panic attack for no reason. And I experienced a lot of dismissal from doctors who just said, "You're anxious." And I remember having a very distinct conversation with the doctor saying, "I know how my mental anxiety presents, and this is not it." And he repeatedly said, "No, you're just anxious. You're just anxious. Do you want an anti-anxiety medication?" And in my case, I chose no. And I was very deliberate with that choice because I felt to my core that on a deep level, this was something physical that was causing the manifestation of anxiety. This was not the mental load. And that's when I had to do nervous system reconditioning. So I went to physical therapy and I started reacclimating my body with vestibular training, with doing like straight up just like nerve glides and moving my body in a way to get over or through the fear that I had been experiencing around activity. The other thing that I did, which I just recently started doing, is I began working with a core energetics practitioner. And I'm an energy person. I do energy work. I'm an intuitive healer. And I had put off working with somebody who does energy work because energy work is a huge load on your nervous system. So I really needed to get to a space where I was stable enough to do this work. But I will tell you that it is night and day from a nervous system response when I have been actively working through the trauma that POTS has caused, the fear that it's induced, the stress that it's taken, the grief that it has really triggered within me about my life and where my life is going. And working with a core energetics practitioner or working with a somatic therapist would be a very similar vein, was something that just changed the way that I operate in the world. I noticed a marked difference in how I handle fear, how I go about my day-to-day, and also how I'm able to identify when I feel like my nervous system is having a moment versus when I feel like I'm having a mental fear moment. I'm able to kind of notice the changes in my POTS episodes and say like, okay, do you feel on a physical level that this is going to be bad? Yes or no? Or is the mental state, which you've experienced a lot over the last few years, is your mental state causing you to worry that something might happen? And how I handle those two scenarios, how I handle the potential of something happening versus the inner knowing that something is going to happen, are two very different things. And I handle them differently now that I've been working through not only nervous system regulation and physical therapy, but also on an energetic level.